Hi everyone, I'm Tanaz from foreverconscious.com and this is your weekly energy forecast for the week of May 10th. Yes, don't look too close. I decided to chop off half my hair. I'm going to blame the full moon. I definitely don't recommend that you do this. I just wanted to do a little trim. My hair was feeling a little bit like a bird's nest. If you have curly hair, maybe you resonate with that right now. So I just thought I'd give myself a little trim, and then before I knew it, I had just taken off way too much. So I definitely do not recommend you try to cut your hair yourself at home, especially because this week we have Venus going retrograde, and as the wise sages of astrology say, do not cut your hair or make any radical changes to your appearance. I should say it actually like that. Don't make any radical changes to your appearance when Venus is in retrograde. You can, of course, go to a professional hairdresser and get your usual trim, but drastically changing something, anything to do with your appearance or even clothing, buying expensive clothes, all that kind of stuff, typically Venus retrograde is not a good time for that. So Venus goes retrograde this week on the 12th or 13th, depending on your time zone. We also have two other retrogrades happening this week. We have one on May 10th, 11th, that's Saturn going retrograde. And then on May 14th, we have Jupiter going retrograde. This is a lot of retrograde energy happening in a few days of each other. It's pretty special. I don't think I've ever seen, or at least I don't remember ever having seen a lineup of planets going retrograde all at the same time within a couple of days of each other. So it's pretty significant, and I really feel it's a calling from the universe for us to kind of slow down, go within. And I know we've already been feeling like we've been doing that, but I'll get into a little bit what the flavor of this slowdown is going to feel like. Before I do that, I want to just give a little crash course on what is a retrograde planet for those of you who don't know. So, a retrograde planet is when a planet appears to be moving backwards. It's not actually moving backwards, of course, but just from our vantage point here on Earth, it appears like the planet's moving backwards. And when this happens, we call it a retrograde. Some planets retrograde very often. Like, for example, Saturn will go retrograde first this week on the 10th, 11th. Saturn spends about 6 months of the year in retrograde. So this is just part of Saturn's normal cycle. We're very used to this energy. Venus, on the other hand, which goes retrograde in the middle of this week, only goes retro every 18 months or so. So this is a rare energy, and we tend to feel it more strongly. So I like to think of a retrograde like this. So here's the planet. Imagine its influence is like a rubber band. So here's the planet. Its influence is being stretched out. Beautiful beam of energy being stretched out with this rubber band. And eventually it reaches the point where it just can't go anymore. The whole, the rubber band can't be stretched anymore. So then the energy starts to come back on itself. It starts to be drawn inward. Instead of that beam of energy being sent outwards into the world, it's now coming back. We're retracing our steps. The energy is coming inward. And that's why I say during this retrograde time and with all this lineup of retrogrades, we're really, we're feeling this turn inward. We're feeling the energy being drawn in. And as this energy draws in, we revisit the past. We may notice past memories coming up. We may notice a sense of slowing down, that we can't move forward, that there's things that we have to kind of wade through before we can make that step forward. Retrograde energy kind of feels like taking one step forward and then having to take 2 steps back. It typically is not a good time to start anything new. It's a time where we want to work with what is on our plate already. We want to go back over the past. What have we missed? What have we overlooked? How can I manage and make the best of what's already in front of me, what I've already been working on. So that's kind of retrograde energy as a snapshot. And it's this week, of course, but we're going to be feeling it for the coming months. As we get into June, we have Mercury retrograde. You're probably all a little more familiar with that because that retrograde happens 4 times a year, and we do feel it. So there's a Mercury Retro on the way next month. We also have Neptune. And then even as we get down later into the year, we have Mars retrograde. And Mars is the rarest retrograde possible. So we have a lot of retrograde energy this year. But anyway, don't get too sidetracked on Mars and what's happening in the rest of the year. Let's focus on this week. So this is energy. It's asking us to slow down. It's energy coming, returning in to the self. We're really being drawn in. So as I mentioned, Saturn goes retrograde, 6 months of the year. So this is the energy that we're pretty used to. It's part of Saturn's normal rhythm and cycle. Kind of same with Jupiter. Jupiter spends a little less than 6 months of the year in retrograde. And again, it's kind of part of its normal rhythm and cycle. What is really interesting and what we will probably be feeling the most is this Venus retrograde energy, because this doesn't happen very often. So it's a newer energy, it's a fresher energy, it's maybe one that we're not as used to. Also, the closer the planets are to the sun, the more we feel the retrograde. That's the general rule of thumb. So Mercury, Venus, Mars, we're going to feel those the strongest. And then the planets, as they get further away from the sun, we don't feel those as much. So Venus, very much going to be feeling this. Venus retrograde activates and opens our heart energy center. Maybe you have noticed issues in your relationships. Maybe you have noticed old heart wounds coming up to the surface. Maybe you have just been feeling an array of emotions, or, feeling more connected to the voice of your heart. All of that are themes for Venus retrograde. If there are cracks or wounds in a relationship, sometimes they can come up to be cleared and dealt with during the Venus retrograde. Think of a Venus retrograde as a time where we're drawn into our hearts so we can love deeper, so we can connect to a deeper sense of love, the love that we are. So anything in our lives that is blocking that expression, that connection to our heart, is going to come up to be looked at. Now, I've been seeing a couple of people on social media and stuff in comments saying that they thought they had dealt with the past, and now with all this retrograde energy, they're feeling some stuff come back up. They're like, I thought I dealt with that. I thought I'd wrap that up. What is that? Why is it coming up again? I want to kind of offer this to you. Yes, sometimes things come up to the surface because there is something that we need to look at. It's drawing our attention to something we need to dig deeper into. This is what the spiritual journey is all about. It's growing in awareness. Why? Why am I feeling this way? What's happening? What's going on deeper? That's all part of this sort of self-discovery and growing our consciousness and growing our awareness. But there reaches a point, and maybe we'll feel this on the retrograde energy too. It reaches a point where we could keep digging forever. We could keep unpacking our trauma forever. At a certain point, we have to make peace with where we are. That's my doorbell, and I feel like that's a sign. It's ding dong, wake up. Sometimes we have to make peace with where we are. We have to accept the things that have happened to us, the things that have imprinted on our soul. Every experience, whether we want to label it good or bad, imprints on our soul. It shapes us. It makes us who we are. And those imprints are part of us, and we cannot reject them. We cannot pretend that they didn't happen. We cannot wish for them to be different. It is through acceptance. It is through acknowledgement of these experiences that allow us to make these beautiful imprints feel more whole, more part of us, more connected to our truth and what we want for ourselves moving forward. Kind of think of it like this, right? Every imprint we can't control those imprints, right? Life is happening around us, it's happening for us. Sometimes it feels like it's happening to us, and these imprints are there. And it is our job through acceptance not to ignore them, but to make them more whole through accepting them, through honoring them, through loving them. So yes, we can keep digging, and sometimes that's important, and we can unpack our trauma, and sometimes that's important, and it's all part of our journey. But we can also surrender and allow, let it be. If we cannot let it go, if we feel like we've exhausted having to let these things go, then let it be. Let it be, and find the acceptance in that. Find the beauty in the experiences that have shaped you, no matter how negative or terrible we may label them as. So just holding that, holding some space for that under this retrograde energy. A retrograde energy is a little more, I don't want to say passive, maybe a better word is that sort of feminine expression of just allowing, of just receiving, allowing whatever needs to come, allowing whatever needs to go. It's more about coming into that sort of state. So see if you can embody some of that as we move through this retrograde period, as we navigate these Venus retrograde energies. To help you, I have a couple of things. I have a meditation. It's a free meditation. I'll put a link below. It's to help open and expand your heart chakra, heart energy field. Again, I'll put the link below. And also, if you want to dive deeper into this Venus retro energy, or Jupiter or Saturn, I'll put links for all of that below. I have articles on all of these. So I hope that was helpful. I am Tanaz from foreverconscious.com. Thank you so much.